friends, it's Alex on the block, and if you're new here, hello, I'm Alex and I make videos about books, lifestyle, and journaling. So today I'm going to talk about 5 books that I read this year and that I've really loved. So I hope that you guys check these books out, and yeah, let's get on to the list of books. So the first book is Nevermoor, and Nevermoor is a middle grade series, and it starts out with this girl Morgan Crow who is destined to die on her birthday. She's like a cursed child, and she ends up not dying, and a man named Jupiter North whisks her away into the magical land of Nevermoor. So if you guys don't know what middle grade is, it's like an age categorization that's, I think, for 8 to 12 years old. But these kinds of books are actually good for reading slumps because they're a bit easier to read and to digest. So anyway, back to Nevermoor. So the Jupiter North whisks her away into this magical world of Nevermoor, and then there she discovers a lot of things that are so exciting, and this world is just so vibrant and so magical. And the found family trope is very good. It's a very wholesome book, but also there's quite an adventure because Morgan Crow has to pass these trials in order to become part of the Wondrous Society, I think that's called. So yeah, this is just my favorite middle grade series. Or wait, I don't know if Percy Jackson is middle grade, but yeah, Nevermore is one of the top books that I really love in this age range. There are currently 3 books in the series, and I've read 2 of them and I love them both. So yeah, I'm very excited to read the third one. The next book on this list is actually a graphic novel, and it is Heartstopper. And I think a lot of you have already seen this series, I think, because it's quite popular. And Heartstopper is actually about Nick and Charlie. So Charlie is an openly gay teen in an all-boys school in England, and then Nick is a soft-hearted rugby player. So they become friends and something more blossoms, and it's just so cute. Like the art style, the illustrations in this book make it even more sweet and just even more wholesome and so precious. And I really love the 2 characters. I really love their relationship. I love the lessons that are tackled in this book, like the topics and such. So yeah, this is such a great book. And if you're on a budget, this actually free to read on webtoons.com, I think, and on Tapas app. So there are currently 3 books, and I think the 4th one is being published this year, but there are a lot of chapters in the app already. So yeah, that's a really good, really good, really sweet, fun book. So yeah, I really loved reading this. Actually binge reading because I started it and then I never stopped. The third book on this list is The House in the Cerulean Sea. And alright, this is so worth the hype. I've been seeing it everywhere. And going into this, I thought it was an interesting premise, but I didn't really get much in the premise itself. And the book is so much more than its synopsis, like, I swear. It is one of my absolute favorite books right now. So it's about Linus Baker, who is like an employee in the department in charge of magical youth, and then he gets assigned to this orphanage on an island. And this orphanage is actually quite different than other orphanages because the children in this particular home are deemed kind of dangerous to humanity, and he's going to go there to assess if the orphanage is good to handle them and what's happening in the orphanage, kind of like that. And that's where the story begins, and it's just so freaking good. And if you're just looking for a good book with a family trope that is just so precious and so wholesome, all of these kids are so cute, and I just want to hug them all. And oh my gosh, there's also like, obviously there's a magic element to it, and the world is also cute and like very interesting. And yeah, that's all you really need to know about this book. It's, I swear, like the premise, the synopsis of it is like so, it's interesting, but you don't really get what it's about. But when once you start reading the book, it is so freaking good. Like, oh my god. If you're like me, you're going to cry because of happiness. I actually cried because of happiness. Like that ending was so good. And then the next one is a romance, and it is Act Your Age Eve Brown, and it is the third and final book, I think, of the Brown Sisters trilogy. So the first one was about Chloe Brown, the second one was Danny Brown, and the third one obviously is Eve Brown. And I loved all of them. I loved all these books. I loved them so much that once Act Your Age Eve Brown came out, I literally was like, Psh, let's go. Let's read this. And I binge read it so fast. So essentially, each book delves into the life of each of the sisters and their love life, obviously, because these are romance books, and each one is just so unique and so fun. And the author really knows how to make a character like a full character, because every one of them are so different and every one of the love interests are so different as well. So this particular one is about Eve Brown, and she's kind of like all over the place. She's a hot mess, and her parents like do this intervention thing telling her to like get a job for this specific amount of time, I think. And then she comes across this Airbnb, like a bed and breakfast, and then somehow she becomes the chef in this place. And the owner is actually Jacob, who is quite the opposite of her. Like, he's uptight, he's strict, he's a perfectionist, that kind of jazz. And it's so good because this is also an enemies to lovers book, and I love me an enemies to lovers book. The tension, the sass. She actually hits him with her car, and that to me is just so freaking funny. Like, this book is so funny. It's funnier than the two previous books. I would say this might be my favorite out of the series just because it's so funny and I can relate to Eve Brown a little bit more than I can relate to the other ones. But yes, if you're looking for a fun romance that will make you laugh and make you smile, this one is for you. The last book in this list is Yolk, and I was actually hesitant to read this book because I read another book by this author, which was Permanent Record, and I really disliked that. But then I really wanted to like even just one of Mary H.K. Choi's books. I don't know, I just feel like it, I felt like, I don't know, what do you call it? Like, oh my god. No, wait. I can't place the word, but yeah, I felt like everyone loved Mary H.K. Choi, and I was like, why don't I love her book, Permanent Record? And then I was so scared to try Yolk just because I might hate it. And yeah, I was wrong. I was completely wrong. Yolk is now one of my favorite books. So this book is about sisters Jane and June Beck, and they're from Texas and they moved to New York City to like live alone independently. So Jane is a student, a fashion student, and then June is already working. So June is more of like the perfect daughter, and Jane is more of like the still trying to find her way daughter. So they're estranged just because like for like their childhood trauma and stuff like that. Jane doesn't really want to be with June that much. But then something happens that brings them both together, and they end up living together and they end up depending on each other, and it was just such a beautiful masterpiece of a book. I really can't sell this book enough. There were some points where it's heartbreaking, some points where it's like funny, and just at some points you just want to hug them both. So did I cry reading it? Yes, I did. obviously it's me. I always cry. And yeah, this book really means a lot to me now. And if you want to see more of my reactions on this book, I actually was reading this in my previous reading vlog, so go check that out if you want more detail. But yeah, I also talked about like culture because they're both Asians as well, and I am Asian. Yes, Philippines is in Asia. If you're some of those folks who think that Philippines for some reason isn't Asia. So yes, please do check this book out because it's so freaking wonderful. So those are the books that are my recent faves, and I really do hope you check those books out because I wouldn't recommend them if they're not good. Also, please don't forget to check the trigger warnings of books just because, you know, for safety reasons. And yeah, so that's it for this video, guys. If you've made it this far, please comment a book emoji in like the comments down below. It really helps my channel grow. And yeah, thank you for watching, and I hope to see you next time. Bloop.